Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Tuesday, February the 16th. The year is 2021. Let's talk trading. Indicators are tools. And I just want you to know one thing, that these videos are for educational purposes only, and your results may differ from mine. The reason I'm doing this video today is I've noticed that there's some traders out there on the various forums and videos and Twitters and all the social media that are talking about, indicators, all indicators repaint. Well, that's false. And you don't need indicators. Well, that may or may not be true. But, you know, as time has marched on, we've improved. I mean, that's like saying you don't need a Bic lighter because you have two sticks. You know, um, and I just find it so disheartening that there's people out there that basically put stuff out there, and some of them have thousands of followers, but they're putting out this misinformation about indicators. I mean, and somebody will say, well, you've got 5 million indicators and 50,000 systems and you can't trade and blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, each person's entitled to their own opinion. But the reality is, indicators are tools. And it's kind of like, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. It's not the tool, it's how you use it. And to me, there's various types of indicators. For example, you know everything you see on this screen was put on by an indicator, my notes indicator, which some people think it's one of my best indicators because it allows you to type up little notes to yourself and put it right on the screen, nice and easy. But when it comes to other things like dashboards, yeah, do you need it? No, but do you want to look at 28 charts at a time, or would you rather have an indicator that shows you what you want to look for? So, for example, if you want to see, well, what pairs are near their daily open, well, right here, you can see it, highlight it, within 5 pips of the open. Or which ones are near their pivot point? Well, here's one right at the pivot point. Here's one just 1 pip below it. Right now the pound's 19 pips above the pivot point. Which, by the way, I think I called that out about it was going to hit the pivot point on the daily and so we'll check that out. On the gap fill, we've got two that haven't filled, and once again, indicators. It's like where are my inside bars here on the weekly? Are there any possible trades there? So, I really don't know why some people are so opposed to indicators, because it's tools. That's like saying, you know what? I've got a screwdriver. I don't need a wrench, or I don't need pliers. You know, it's some of they have no logic because it's just ridiculous talk. But the thing is, it's kind of like having a calculator. Back in grade school and college, um, if you didn't understand the principles, that Texas Instruments 85, wasn't going to help you at all. Let me tell you that. I can't even, I just made up that number. I don't even remember what it was called back then. But here we have the daily chart. This is yesterday's range right here, the high and the low. And you can see price popped out and came right back in. So, I mean, yeah, you can see this without having an indicator, but isn't it nice to see what the level is and how many pips price is above or below that level? It's right there, right in front of you, very, very easy. But, and does this indicator repaint? Of course not. It updates in real time. And that's one of the things that people just don't understand. Okay, for the year, we're 264 pips above the open. And isn't it nice to be able to see where price is in relation to the year, month, week, and day, the close, the high, and the low? Just right there, all in a glance. And we made a new yearly high today by the way. Oh, and that's something else I'm going to have to show you guys. I think I mentioned it yesterday, and you can see here, yeah, price is in the Wick zone. Do you need an indicator to show you that? No, you can see it if you understand it, but sometimes it's nice to have it. Inside bar, yeah, I can see the inside bar, but what about this one? You know, if I look real quick, that looks like an inside bar, but it's not, because this low is slightly lower than that low, so technically it's not an inside bar. On the range, isn't it nice to know what these ranges are? You know, you could, snap a line and, do it like that. Let's see. How does that work here? For some strange reason, I can't seem to get that to work sometimes. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. But anyway, and that's another reason to have an indicator. Makes things easy. works every time, right? And you can see here we're just 4 pips off the open, or you can look right there on the chart. But once again, if you want to see what pairs are near the open and maybe look for a buy zone trade, or what pairs are near the high, look for a rat reversal, or near the low, there you have it. Okay, look at this price action today. Had that missed pivot here. The pivot point was just below D1. I think I called that out before, that we were going to probably take out that pivot. But there's another pivot I want you guys to see. Rats, look at the feasting that's been going on. Green rats, they went, from green rat into the red rat zone. Red rats coming back out. So do you need an indicator? Well, I mean, you could do the math in your head. What's the low plus 20? What's the high minus 20? Yeah, you could do all that in your head. But by the time you did that computation here, maybe you missed it. Or you could hand plot it if you wanted to. But why not let the indicator? You're on a computer. Let the computer do what the computer can do. I mean, that was one of the rules I learned way, way back when I first started programming and became a professional. I forget, but an old pro told me that. If I remember correctly, his name was Morris Black, and he worked at Sanyo in Canada. He was a vice president. Really smart guy. Taught me a lot about understanding data, not necessarily coding, but understanding data, and actually using code as data as opposed to just thinking of it as code. But that's a whole nother story. But you can see here, letting the computer do the work for me, and then I can focus on whether or not I want to take the trade. I mean, even there it said, look, a doji when open equals close. And back to the pivots, here's that weekly pivot, 37,987 here. And that weekly we still haven't hit. But remember, I told you about a monthly pivot that had been missed. Well, you see that level right there? This pivot right here at 39.48. Well, guess what? We took it out today. And that was the one I had called yesterday, or was it Sunday night, that I was saying look for price to come hit that pivot. I mean, once again, just based on statistics. I mean, look at how many missed pivots we've had since 2007. And the indicator kind of goes crazy back here because it's looking for data that's not there. So I need to put something in there to tell it just to quit looking. It's over. Anyway, that's what we have there now on the week. You can see, once again, 37,987, call it 37.99, come down to take out that pivot. Maybe it hits it this week, maybe it doesn't. But you can see how far back we have to go, back to November. There was a missed pivot here, and then there was another missed pivot here. And so, 2 consecutive misses, 3 consecutive misses rarely happens on the pivots. So you see it missed a day, It hit that one, came back, hit the current one, and then took that one out there. So here we took out that pivot right there. Wick zones, once again, you could see them with your eyes if you look at a daily candle, but hourly, how do you have to remember where the top of the candle is? I mean, where the bottom of the candle is? I mean, once again, people arguing about indicators, it's just such a, to me, it's a ridiculous argument. You know, like you could compute the ranges in your head, but would you know the percentiles? I don't think so. But, you know, a couple hours ago, we had that huge range, hit the 99 percentile, 61 pips. And if, in case you haven't watched previous videos, what this means is over the last 160 bars, this was at the 99 percentile. So 99% of the bars were less than 61. 1% were, you know, greater than or equal to 61. So it sits right there. And you can see it, 3 balls being put in. The scalper's telling you to wait, gives you an entry point, gives you a stop. I mean, you could calculate this in your head. You know, you can calculate the distance between the semaphores in your head and the distance price is moving away from the semaphore. I guess you could do all of that in your head. But for me, I'd rather the computer do it. It's just more precise and accurate. What can I say? Not to mention, it's much quicker. Now, I made a new indicator today, and I'm still working on it. I'll probably actually put the difference over here also. What this indicator is doing is telling me where price is near. So it's near the current H1 open within 5 pips. Let me show you here. And this is TR 2021 price near. And so I've got it up. You can put up to 5 indicator periods. If somebody needed more, I could add more. Or you don't even have to use that many. You can turn it to none. You can tell it how many bars to go back. So this means 0 would be the current. Actually, I'm sorry. 1 would be the current plus 1. Yeah, if you put in 0, that would only give you current. But I think for most traders, what you really want to see is the what it's doing to previous bars where price is. And you can, you know, up the bars, because one of the things that I like to do is I like to look at a bunch of previous closes. So if I turn off everything but the close and I go back 120 hours worth, and then I can set all of these except for hour to none. Then it'll tell me if it's near a bunch of closes. And so when I see that it's near a bunch of closes, I know that it's going to be a sticking point. I think that's letting the computer look left for me. Now I've got the threshold set to 5. I think I'll set it down to, like, let's say within 2 pips. And so you can see here, it's within 2 pips of here. So that means there was a lot of action right around this area. So 20 bars ago, 23, 27, 34 bars ago. So that's just one of my latest ones that I created. Then here, I know some of you, we've been talking about order blocks. What I did was on here, I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versions of the indicator up there, or 6 instances. Just give it slightly different color and it'll tell me. So right there, it went from a bull block to a bear block and then back out. So you see, fellow traders, you know, it's not the indicator, it's how you use it, because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.